Welcome into a special edition of Comicast. This is Comicast Podcast Blackout. I'm here with Michael and David Ramon, and we're going to do a little something different today. We saw this, or actually, Michael saw this from Cult 45. It's a great podcast. Go check out Cult 45's podcast. It's CULT 45. And they're doing a podcast blackout, and their simple kind of guidelines to it is we're going to be replacing our normal podcasts with this special presentation, and we're going to be protesting, and we're going to be reading out names that were slain by police officers since Eric Garner. And we'll do that in a little bit, and we'll talk a little bit about the protest that happened over the weekend. Oh, actually, more than over the weekend. And so this is our podcast blackout. Eric Gardner, John Crawford III, Michael Brown, Ezell Ford, Dante Parker, Michelle Cuso, Laquan McDonald, George Mann, Tanisha Anderson, Akai Gurley, Tamir Rice, Rumain Brisbane, Jermaine Reed, Matthew Ajibad, Frank Smart, Natasha McKenna, Tony Robinson, Anthony Hill, Maya Hall, Philip White, Eric Harris, Walter Scott, William Chapman II, Alexa Christian, Brendan Glenn, Victor Manuel La Rosa, Jonathan Sanders, Freddie Blue, Joseph Mann, Salvador Ellswood, Sandra Bland, Albert Joseph Davis, Darius Stewart,
Billy Ray Davis, Samuel DuBose, Michael Sabbie, Brian Keith Day, Christian Taylor, Troy Robinson, Ashams Pharaoh Manley, Felix Kumi, Keith Harrison McLeod, Junior Prosper, Lamontez Jones, Patterson Brown, Dominic Hutchinson, Anthony Ashford, Alonzo Smith, Tyree Crawford, India Kager, Levante Biggs, Michael Lee Marshall, Jamar Clark, Richard Perkins, Nathaniel Harris Pickett, Benny Lee Tigner, Miguel Espinal, Michael Noel, Kevin Matthews, Betty Jones, Quintonio LeGrier, Keith Childress Jr., Janet Wilson, Randy Nelson, Antoine Scott, Wendell Celestine,
David Joseph, Kaylin Rockmore, Deshaun Perkins, Christopher Davis, Marco Loud, Peter Gaines, Tori Robinson, Darius Robinson, Kevin Hicks, Mary Trujillo, Demarcus Semmer, Willie Tillman, Terrell Thomas, Civil Smith, Alton Sterling, Philando Castile, Terrence Crutcher, Paul O'Neill, Alterio Woods, Jordan Edwards, Aaron Bailey, Ronell Foster, Stephon Clark, Antoine Rose II, Betham Jean, Pamela Turner, Dominique Clayton, Atatiana Jefferson, Christopher Whitfield, Christopher McCovey, Eric Reason, Michael Lorenzo Dean, Breonna Taylor, George Floyd.
And those were about 100 names given to us by NPR.com, and it's since July 2014 when Eric Garner was killed by police, and over the weekend they had demonstrations and protests all over the United States, and in our lifetime, or at least in my adult lifetime, we haven't seen anything to this magnitude, and it's crazy. A lot of people are peacefully protesting, and there are, some that are out there causing fires and acting a fool. And I don't know if I should say this or not, but a lot of them are not black people causing this kind of ruckus. It seems like and I won't name any factions out there, but it seems like there's a faction out there that's looking to start some trouble and have their own agendas. But yeah, I mean, it's been crazy, and is something like this should never happen. It's something like taking a man's life shouldn't start a movement like this, but it has. And we think back on history, and it hasn't been that long since Martin Luther King. If you really think about it, Martin Luther King, marching and trying to get trying to get equal rights for Black, for African Americans, and we have come a long way, but it's also, we still have a long ways to go. And we're for us to kind of sit here and have a decent, or a little bit of a platform. I think we should have. Michael had a great idea. We should take this time out to at least speak out on it, and not do anything else but this.
Yeah, when I saw Colt 45 posted, it was like, oh wow, that makes sense, and it's something that we can do to say, like you said, John, with our platform, and what happened to all these people, every name that we listed, and then of course with George Floyd, what's happened. It's just, people of color should not be treated the way that they have been, and for it to be 2020 and it's still happening is just, it's just frustrating. And yeah, it's very frustrating. I don't know. I've gone through a lot of emotions over the last bunch of days, and it sucks to see racism dictate to people how they treat others just because of the color of their skin or where they're from, or whatever the case may be. And it just shouldn't be like that. And I feel like without people saying something or just talking about it, I don't know that we'll change unless we talk and have these conversations and have these thoughts of, putting yourself in other person's shoes and realizing what fellow people go through every day. You don't realize what happens to African Americans as they go through their day. And yeah, it's just, man, please just treat people with respect. Specifically, police. Please treat people with respect. Don't leave your knee on someone's neck for 8 minutes. I don't know. It's just, yeah, it's just sad. But I'm glad we're doing this. I'm glad Colt 45 put this together, and yeah, I'm glad that we're able to do this. And, the names that we listed, I'm sure there's even more that we don't even know about.
Mm-hmm.
We have the benefits of cameras and stuff nowadays, but who knows how many other people. And it just shouldn't be like that.
I just don't think I'll ever forget learning about Emmett Till. And of course, I guess just gathering information about how things were so ruthless back then, and in a world where we didn't have avenues and didn't have a platform, and how things were always would be able to carry it out with no justice. And, we years later, we still find ourselves battling the same stresses and the same things that keep on coming up. There's no excuse for it. I mean, if it's amazing to see the people who are out there protesting, doing it peacefully, making sure everyone is upheld, make sure it's to lift people up and to tell people that, we're tired of this. We have everything to be thankful for in the black community, just for what they have done, going through all of this. Like, it's, since they came over here, it's amazing. It's the strides, and then just how they molded. To me, just speaking, is from me. I feel like they molded my whole life. I just don't know how they shouldn't. Like, it's just from a child. Pretty much the avenues that led me to come in contact with y'all. If it wasn't for sports, I wouldn't have known both of y'all. And if it wasn't for that community, I mean, damn, I'm not sure what I'll be interested. I'm not sure what my avenue of career would have been. But I mean, it's just amazing to see that we're still stuck in the same place. That you think about the civil rights movement. I mean, and you said it too, Michael. How about all the names that we don't know of? I mean, we can go back hundreds of years, to be honest, about, what has properly taken place, or not properly, but what has taken place in this country. And, so many people flock here just for a new start, a better beginning. It's because, they'll have way more things to accomplish here, and then we're stuck in the same place. And then sometimes I feel like we can't get out of it. But finally, I'm so glad that it is not just in Minneapolis. This is all in all cities, and even cities, or even towns, cities, countries across the globe who are standing with everybody, who are also tired of this. And this is not even their own country, but they're willing to go march, willing to have a voice heard. And it's amazing to see the people who are in power here. Maybe don't have the same views as us, but, we're not going to take that anymore. And I think that's the beautiful thing of us all coming together. And, bless, Colt 45 too, for even bringing this up and starting this dialogue in podcast form, or at least for us, especially. It is just amazing how just to see the transformation of 2020. Like, we go from, of course, Kobe starting it off, and COVID. And I mean, it's like if all that was so long ago now. I mean, it's kind of like we're willing to do all this just in order to stop this brutality, this injustice. And I also show there's just so much courage out there too, as well. I mean, you see it, like, it just sucks that when you're scrolling down Twitter, you see the couple good things that kind of melts your heart a little bit. You see, police and people coming together. But for every one good thing, you're going to see a couple things that disturbs you. And I think for that, this is the time that we do need to get better. We need to grow. We need to start the conversation, the dialogue. I mean, what was like 5-6 years ago, the whole Colin Kaepernick thing, and you would have thought like we would have made strides since then, or we would have saw what he was seeing, or some of the people who were blind to the fact would start seeing something. But I mean, it took more names to be added to that list that we already said. So it's hard. It's not going to be an easy fight whatsoever. But I would say this: that just seeing the people marching, seeing people protesting, having this is fed up with everything. I mean, this is growth. We're not. We can't be silent anymore. There's so many ways for people's unlawful shit to be put on blast, and it's enough. It's definitely enough.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that in these names, Eric Garner was 2014, and I can't remember when. I mean, it's specifically when Colin took a knee, but I think it was around that time. I think it was 2016. Um, it might have been 2015, 2016, but yeah, it's been. You think about it, it hasn't been that long, and we just rattled off about 100 names, and it's it it's so disheartening for me to think that, since then nothing has been done. um if anything, it's gotten worse since then, or at least it's been, it seems worse because it's been kind of brought up to the forefront. And there's absolutely, I mean, from my knowledge, there hasn't really been anything that's been done. There has been no news of radical just reshaping of the police department, changing the process of how they're recruiting new candidates into their academy. I mean, maybe things are going on, but I don't see them. And it just, all of this stuff seems like it's kind of gone on with in vain, because there's nothing that has been done, and we just have, innocent lives have been lost because of, just bad people in the police department. I mean, I can't really think of anything else to say. It's just, I know there's great police officers out there. I know a few of them, and they're amazing. But in a community that knit tight and that, that robust, you're bound to have several bad apples, and a couple of them just shine a bad light on all of them. But when you're recruiting, when you're doing stuff like that, you have to be cognizant of how you're recruiting these people. And because they're supposed to be out there protecting us, and now they're you know putting their knees on someone's neck for damn near 10 minutes, and suffocating and killing them. And Eric Garner, same thing. 11 times he said he couldn't breathe, and he ended up passing away. So and a lot of times, majority of the times, these police officers don't get charged with anything. They might get fired, but they don't get charged with anything. And for this guy to get bounced from Florida and now up here in Minneapolis doing this stuff, it's very disheartening. And I really don't know what we can do other than raise our voices and say, we can't stand for this. And somewhere in the leadership position, they have to do something. And for us as citizens, we do have a little bit of power of voting some of these people out. And we have to go to the voting booths in November and try to do something and vote out people that are in charge, that systematically is completely failing us. And I'm very frustrated with the situation, and it sickens me to think that this stuff keeps happening. And Michael's right. There's situations where this stuff doesn't get videoed, and this list could be infinitely longer.
Yeah. There's a video of I'm not sure what Chris Rock special it is, but there's that video where he talks about, the police violence, and he makes a good point of, there's some jobs where you can't have a bad day. Like a pilot, you can't just be like, oh, I was off that day, sorry about the landing, because you're when you're a pilot, you have people's lives in your hands. A surgeon, you can't have an off day. Cops, you can't, as hard as it is, you can't have an off day because those are people's lives that are in your hands in those moments. You can't have a bad day, off day, however you want to try to explain it. Also, just stop being racist. Stop judging people based off how they look or where they're going or whatever the case may be. Just it shouldn't be that way. We got to do better.
A couple of these, like I guess, is people in power and officers and sheriffs. So I don't know these people personally or what they've done before this, but people like Chris Swanson out of Flint, Michigan, Art Acevedo here in Houston. I mean, it's something that seems so small, and you would think like common sense would tell you there should be more people like this that actually care about this and actually want to be with the people and conversate and show empathy in this movement. And those are the people I definitely applaud. Like I said, I'm not sure what they have done before this. I mean, I'm pretty sure they both have bad days too as well. But I think in a time like this is where we need it the most. I mean, they are the ones. They are the leaders that are hiring these people and kind of get engaging these officers to go a certain route. And that's the thing too. Like they have such a dangerous job. I mean, I'm not sure if I would even, if I was to fathom going that career route and think that, that I'll be capable of being the best person every day. So, I mean, I can't say and sit here and, and badmouth everybody, but it's just amazing to see how civil rights movement and go on to here. Still a lot of the same problems, but I just hope that there's just more people like that. They're willing to change the people who are in there or even get them out. Like there's no room for all of that. It's just kind of hard, but just for finally for the outcries of people, just for us to even be here talking about it. Period. I mean, we're going to we have to prevail, man. We can't just sit here and let shit like this keep happening.
Mm-hmm. And this is something else that's heartbreaking. This happened yesterday, and I'm just seeing it on my timeline on Twitter. Apparently, in Lancaster, California, police shot an unarmed blind Latino man, and then we realized what he done, and then he started to perform CPR on the man, but he died. Man, it was from yesterday, but I've been on Twitter for so long since all of this has happened, and this is the first time I've seen this, and stuff like this, it can't happen. Like, I don't understand how you shoot an unarmed Latino man who is blind. I don't know how that happens.
No.
Like, do you think he was looting? I mean, what basis did that give you to shoot the man?
None. It's ridiculous. It's the escalation of situations and the violence towards protesters and stuff. It's ridiculous. And
no.
Especially the people who are not resisting and not doing no harm whatsoever. It's amazing.
And I do want to say this too, the white people that are looting vans, stores, or whatever this store is, you're not helping the situation. That doesn't help anybody. All these white kids that are going out and doing destructive things. And I'm pretty sure it's not in memory of George Floyd or anything like that. It's just doing stuff to be destructive, and that's not helping the situation. It's not helping the protesters that are out there protesting for George Floyd and for everyone that's been affected by police brutality.
Yeah, and motherfuckers like Jake Paul going around looting. If you guys don't know who that is a a-hole not podcast YouTuber who has some ridiculous following. Him going around throwing vodka bottles through a PF Chang's. Well, what is that? Like, and then you looting. Like, what is that? What are you doing? You're really a sack of crap for doing that kind of stuff. And like, it's not even about Like Michael said, it's not even about George Floyd. It's about you getting clicks on your damn YouTube video.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous when you see all that and see different folks out there that are doing that type of stuff. It's just, that's not what people need right now. It's just not. It's just not.
No, definitely not. No, but there's people out there that like to be dicks, and it's. I mean, you can't. I've seen videos where like you see black people trying to stop these looters. There's that Starbucks one that's kind of gone viral where they're like, "What are you doing? Like, why are you?" This white girl's like painting BLM all over Starbucks, and it's just like, "What are you doing? This isn't in the memory of George Floyd. What are you doing? This isn't for us. We didn't ask you to do this." And it's stuff like this has been happening a lot over the weekend, and that's something that we shouldn't stand for, that kind of stuff. And hopefully all of those people get arrested, and then all of those people get thrown in jail. And we need more of the peaceful stuff that I've seen all over Twitter. I think George's brother and brothers, I think, are in Houston. They're kind of telling everybody we cannot be breaking our own businesses. We cannot be destroying our own city. We need to be peacefully gathering and trying to offer up some change. You breaking into a damn Whataburger is not going to solve anything. What is that going to do for us? That's not going to do for us. If anything, that makes us look bad. That's not what we want.
No. The one other thing I was just going to say real quick was, if you can support in any way you can, educate yourself, support, whether it's donations to the proper funds, or, just educating white people specifically, educate yourself, myself included, educate yourselves, especially when you're going to try and help, educate yourself. And if for those that maybe don't have a platform, just talk to people and think about what you do on a day-to-day basis and try and make adjustments in your own life, because you don't really realize all the things that happen to you versus what happens to someone of color. So I don't know, just educate yourselves.
Yeah. I know this isn't what you guys are tuning in for, but we couldn't turn this opportunity down to at least talk about it, and at least start a little bit of dialogue. Even though we're just a local podcast, we're here in support for everything everything that's kind of gone down, and we're protesting here as well. So thank you guys for tuning into this podcast blackout of ComiCast, and I'd like to thank Michael and David for joining us. And if you guys want to continue the dialogue, you can always hit us up on Twitter. I'm at My Name John.
I'm at Producer Mike 975.
I'm at Gato Dominguez.
We'll see you next time.